Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm a Cloudy Sheep, and here it is, the second Russian Civil War in Hearts of Iron 4. So we've been playing as the Soviet Union up until now, and now we are playing as Russia in civil war against the Soviet Union. War was triggered by not taking the communist purges from Stalin, and we are now fighting as Russia. So about half of the army went to Russia, half remained in the hands of the Soviet Union, and you can see the geographical split. This is going to be a very difficult fight that we are facing, and I'll tell you a bit about the situation and disposition of our forces in a little bit. Now, first off, let's have a look at our government. So as you can see, we retain none of these specializations. In fact, we are the civilian economy, which is pretty bad. We didn't get any of the political power. We got a relatively low stability and low war support, but however we did get a lot of manpower. Now, we also got a couple of divisions, which you can see over here. Most of them are centered around our home region here, which is really around our capital, which is not so happily named Stalingrad. I don't think I can change that name. But yeah, so it's a bit funny that we are in revolution against Stalin and still call our capital Stalingrad. So I would like to rename that Volgograd if possible. Let me know if you think it is. But yeah, for now we'll just have to play like that. Right, there are a couple of other divisions hanging around over here, some over there, and of course you can see that we pretty much consistently got what is pretty much Kazakhstan, somewhat of southern Russia, and the Caucasus region over here, and a little bit of western Russia, Belarus, I guess. So yeah, or the I would guess the eastern half of Belarus, and yeah, again a bit of the Asian steppes. I think we lost a number of our factories, so we only have 22 military factories. I think the Soviets probably have a lot more than that, yeah, as you can see. So we estimate that they have about at least 50% more than us, so it's gonna be a tough fight. They're also of course allied to Mongolia and Tanuvau, so these are gonna be tough fights again. There is a bit of a corridor over here, and this is a bit of a situation because even though we have Kiev and come on, it's not one. I want the normal default view. So we have Kiev and we have Minsk up over there, so there are some supplies trickling out of these cities, but it's not that much, and what we really want, of course, as one of our first objectives probably is to close off this corridor, push the Russians from down here, and then present a unified front to the north to move onwards to Moscow, really. A lot of supply points here as well, and of course we know that there are a lot of factories around Moscow, and I guess this region really. So yeah, that's going to be important. In regards to the Russian deposition of the army, we know that a large number of their units, of the loyal units and loyal to the Soviet Union, are stationed currently in the Far East, and we expect them to come very much rushing back towards us very quickly. So we're going to have to see about that. One thing that I would like to look at is briefly at the disposition of our factories. So you can see comparatively few factories in this area, and a bit more than over here, so I think it's a little bit less important to guard this front. So we'll probably start up here and then try to push into the Ural Mountains over here, and maybe establish that as a bit of a front, and here we'll be a bit more flexible. Of course, we know also that a lot of the Soviet forces were along the respective borders, so on the Baltic countries over here, Estland, Letland, or Estonia, Letland, and along Poland and the Romanian border, really. So that's going to be challenging. Other than that, it's going to be, yeah, an interesting situation. Now, we also took over the general focus area, and that is just the default one for any country, so we'll have to have a look at that in a second. But of course, one thing as a reminder is that this is a bit of an alternative scenario. So we saw that the German Reich, so Hitler, tried to press for the Anschluss with Austria. Austria refused, and they got into war with the Germans. The Allies warned the Germans not to take on this Sudetenland in the Sudeten crisis from Czechoslovakia, and consequently Germany attacked anyway, so they ended up in war against France and the UK as well, which was a very short war indeed. So on top of that, they had a revolution where the southern half of the country revolted by this democratic Konrad Adenauer-led faction, which quickly beat Germany. So we now have a democratic Germany, which I appreciate very much, because this civil war is going to weaken us a lot, and it would have been rather difficult to deal with the Germans should they have come knocking afterwards. And again, I didn't know whether we'll be able to take on the Germans. This is really the first time that I do play this scenario. So, let's set up our army and situational war. So there are a lot of things that we need to deal with. I think the first is the national focus now. I won't talk too long about this. I think most of these names are pretty much self-explanatory. It's a political effort, giving you more political points and a lot of interesting ideas. Industrial effort, of course, helping you to build up quite a bit. And the various army, aviation and naval efforts. Now, of course, for us, I think by far the most important bit is, I mean, we start out in a civil war, so army effort really, not so much due to the army experience, but due to the research bonus for land doctrine. That's going to be a very, very helpful push that we can make over here. And again, you know, all of these things will be extremely helpful for us, whereas this really would be more of a long-term situation, which I don't think will be that useful for now. So let's try to get the army effort done. We won't, of course, be changing anything because we didn't inherit any political power, and it's going to be building up very, very slowly. In terms of the military factories, we have 22, but we should first look, and this is very disheartening, at our logistics. So this is the equipment that we have. Nothing at all. We didn't inherit any equipment, and that is a big issue, because I know for a fact that when we played the Soviet Union, it was building up huge stockpiles of material, and I was sort of anticipating that we would get half of that, which we didn't. So we know that I think the Soviets have at least 150,000 infantry equipment, so that's going to be a bit of an issue. Now, we on the other hand have we have inherited half of the manpower. So, you know, it makes sense to arm a lot of people as quickly as possible, specifically regarding this huge front that we'll have difficulty to cover. So, you know, I think it's going to be the most important really to get infantry equipment and get a lot of that. So we are going to build at least 20 units of, or dedicate 20 factories to building nothing but infantry equipment. And that's going to be 25 units per day. That's still not very significant, but it's a start. We should also be building a little bit of stout artillery and a little bit of support equipment, just so we can replace the losses that we get. And of course, we'll also have to build in the long term a little bit of motorized and a little bit of light tanks and such. So yeah, light tanks over here, and over here, and I think that's it for now. So we can't produce all of this, but at least I'm hopeful that over time we'll be capturing a couple of more factories and such. So yeah, there's going to be that. We also have 3 factories, and let's see what we'd want to do with that. I don't think that building any fortifications makes sense. It's going to be a very fluid conflict at first, principally due to the density of troops that we can put to the front. So I don't think that we are going to do that too much. We could build military factories. It's going to cost 7,000, but I think it's even more worthwhile to simply convert civilian factories to military factories. And that's, I think, what will be the most important issue. So let's try to do that. Let's try to do that down here, where it's the easiest and where we are not in immediate risk of losing our units. Still, you know, it's going to take a long time. That being said, we did apparently get some planes, which is nice to see, but yeah, are they going to be super important? I don't know. So we got strategic bombers of all units. I'm going to place them over here and then tell them to bomb the Trans-Ural region, a bit above the Great Steppes, and we will tell it to do strategic bombing, and I think we can ask it to focus on infrastructure. So basically just try to yeah, get them to be a little bit slower, if we can achieve that at all. So it's not much of an effort, but we can do it. And of course it's going to be daylight bombing. Then apparently we inherited some fighters, not that many really, but let's put it to 200 and that's going to be alright. And we'll assign these units in a little second. Oh, actually, you know what? I think we can... It's all us, right? Yeah, so let's get these guys over here and then place them on fighter duty over the Ukraine. On daylight activity, I think that's fine as a priority. Just try to get a little bit of pressure over here. Now these guys who are trapped in this pocket, I think we'll be able to send to one unit. This is a bit of our elite unit, so our you can see we inherited, or we took over the equipment type at least. Yeah, so these are our best units, mountain divisions, 12 mountain divisions. It's a bit of a funny combat with, but we're gonna have to live with that. Or at least we can change it for now because we don't have the army experience to change our template. But we will do so very shortly. We also inherited a lot of different infantry divisions. Some of these are really small, so combat with 12, not really much of anything except support equipment, and we need more support equipment, I guess. So, you know what, let's place this up here, get it to 3 units. And again, just a couple of units down here, and that's pretty much it. So, yeah, not that that much of a unit group. Let's pick our fast units, so our tanks and cavalry units. I'm a bit ashamed about these, but it's all we have. So let's get these guys and place them under a good general, because they'll probably be in about all of our units. So I think Boris here, with a decent attack at least, and a relatively high supply score, would be a good choice. On the other hand, Golikov with a high attack value might not be too bad either. You know what? I think he's the more appropriate guy due to his high attack value. So we will pick you for our tank army. So there's a tank army. Let's pick a different unit symbol. I would like to pick this and pick red. So oh, you know what? Let's pick. Do we want to pick red? Seeing how our enemies are red. Blue. I think blue always doesn't stand really out that much. So yellow. I think white would be most appropriate, but let's take purple, and I think that's all right. Good. Secondly, these guys are an elite unit, so that's fine, and you indeed are going to be white. And you are going to get someone who's a good infantry leader. We have 2 good infantry leaders, and I think this one is a bit more balanced. This guy is a bit more focused on defense rather than attack, whereas really probably our yeah, our more elite unit is going to be pushing a little bit harder. So I think that's a good choice. Right. We're going to supplement that with a lot of our normal infantry units, or at least a couple of them, just to make sure. You know what? Let's get all of these guys in, and then a lot of them out again. So, firstly, all of these supportative units, we will select and put into a separate army, just to make sure that yeah, there's another one. Just to make sure that these are really only frontline units. Then we're going to cut back on that quite a little bit. So we can be in command of 24 units, and we do have 33, so it's going to be a number 6 plus 3, so 9. 9 units should be again a different division. So yeah, that looks good to me. Then these units are going to be a separate army as well. And you guys over here are going to be our last army. We can form an army group, and just one of our field marshals. So which one's better? You're an old guard, which is bad. Strength, political, economic, yeah, you're not very great. You're at least a career officer and an unyielding defender. You're a little bit better. Can we select anything? We can. So, you know what? I think we're going to pick this gentleman over here. And oh yeah, we don't have the command power right now to promote you, but still, I think that's going to be fine. So put both of these groups under your command, and I think this brown army should also be under your command. Excellent. We're going to give you a commander, of course, and it's going to be an infantry commander. You, I think, are going to be a fine gentleman for that. You are the more of a holding type army, and you are our second army, really. So this is our, let's call them slightly differently. So this is our first army, and you were our second army. And let's try to see if we do have a good general. So I think, you know, this is fine enough. And over here, this is the Ural army. And we can assign up to 5 to this guy over here, so I think that's probably what we are going to do. Second army, yeah, you'll be also part of this team. You probably won't. Oh, you might not be. Yeah, maybe you're a bit more of the eastern group, so you're going to be in a new one. Let's pick someone over here. The other guy, of course. And you can just be someone who's decent at defending. Yeah. Let's take you. And then we have this guy over here. And all of these guys are somewhat similar, to be honest. So let's take this one. Good. And you'll also be assigned to this. So Army Group 2, Army Group 1. And we'll call you the Reserve Army. That's going to be that, and the Reserve Army is going to get a different symbol, because it's not an infantry army, it's not a tank army, it's a bit more of a in-back sort of situation. Right, looks good to me. And that's a very nice setup. So last thing I want to do is, for some reason we inherited like everything twice. I'm not entirely sure why that is. But what I would like to do is take the support units over here and edit them. Of course we can't change anything because we don't have the army experience, but at least get a different symbol over here. Unfortunately I would like to rename them from the garrison type division. So it shouldn't be NKVD because it's a Soviet name, but apparently we can't, so it's fine. Right, and you should now be all, yeah. Good. So let's start setting up our army groups. First, of course, let's take these fighters and assign you to, I think, the first tank army. And that's a good idea. Right, over here, again, I think the most important thing is to close off this gap. So we're going to take at least 3 of these units and be sort of on this front, and probably a 4th as well. And this gentleman over here can try to cover a little bit towards the north. And I think what we're going to do in fact is assign a fallback line for you. I'm aware it's only 1 division, but still. Right, and you down here. We'll take measures to perform an offensive maneuver sort of like this. I know it's ambitious, but at least I want to get them to start concentrating. Likewise, the first army over here, do we want to place it directly vis-a-vis Moscow and be ready to start pushing it on there, or do we want to place it down here and start to bash this in? I think we'll have to do it a little bit mixed. So, in fact, these mountain divisions, since I don't think there are a lot of mountains down here, it's really is flat terrain. And again, there are really no mountains except for the Urals. So you guys will be responsible on a relatively large front to push into Moscow. Just try to get there. You know what? I don't even care about this region. Like such. All of the other ones, so all of you guys, you'll start down here, and you will likewise start pushing towards this river at least. And I don't want you to cross the river, because probably that's a job that's going to be a bit more easy from the other side. And you know what, with that in mind, I think we can go back to the 4th Army, which we're going to call 3rd Army, and edit this a little bit. So pull this down and edit this attack line to be a bit more conservative. And then what we can do is take one more unit, this one, and you'll actually be placed on the front line over here, which is supposed to just close the gap. Nope. Sorry. You be part of this and attack over here. Thank you. Good. So that's the first of attack orders. The more important one, probably the 2nd Army. Oh, look at this down here. Quite realized we had that. So, yeah, we'll have to cover that in some fashion. And you know what? Since we do have the 2nd Army, I'm wondering whether we will in fact take the 2nd Army over here and tell it to do just this. Push to Moscow. Push hard. And you guys be part of this. Hard push down here. Tank Army is going to be a bit more complicated beast, I believe. We will take 3 tanks, place them over here. Should be fine. And tell you to attack over there. Go on. Let's be a bit broader that approach. And that's important because of course closing this gap will a little bit cut off the units down there. And we're going to take about 4 units of those towards that front as well. Of the remaining tanks, I would like 2 to support the push against Moscow, and one of these we will send over here and then push in sort of manually towards north, and likewise just sort of something centrally over here. So you will try to go over there, and this last one over here we'll send likewise down to the Ukraine to attack the coast and wrap that up over there. How many more units have we? Ooh, what are you doing over here? No, you shouldn't be in this army. You should probably be part of the 2nd Army. Right? Okay. No idea how they got there. So, 3 more units. I think the cutoff here is B, so you go there. 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 And in fact you also should be going here. And then we can send this guy, I guess, over here just to make this a little bit more of a broader approach. That should hopefully be fine. Good, so all of these units have their orders except for the Reserve Army. Reserve Army is going to be a bit more of a difficult beast because it doesn't really have any offensive capabilities, so I think we'll send it to something that we hope to defend, and then that's probably this area up here. So yeah, tell them to have a bit of a large front line, even though we don't think that it's necessarily realistic. And just pro forma, I'm going to draw an offensive line behind this river here, just so that maybe it can try to capture that. And over here that would be nice, close and front. Front line, making the front line easier. Oh, words are hard. Right, and you guys over here are in a bit of a difficult task to guard this area. And I have no hope of you advancing anywhere, so it's fine. Good. Down there, oh, I think at least we should take one of the horses. Let's take the last one over here and get it down to Tbilisi to capture this area down here. Armenia. It's really funny that Armenia is, of all states, loyal to the Soviet Union, whereas, for example, Georgia, which is of course the home region of Stalin, is not. Over here, we will combine these units in a way that makes sense. So all the submarines together, please. All the other stuff together. You're only destroyers, so I don't think you'll be able to do much. Great, we don't have any naval commanders, but nevertheless we are going to start to do some convoy raiding in the Black Sea. And that should be fine. Now up here we don't have anything, so that's about it. No divisions in basic training. Yeah, we can't really train that much. I guess we could start the training of some of these guys over here, although I'm gonna have to assign a relatively high equipment priority, because otherwise they'll never be trained at all. How come we have the equipment to do that? Logistics doesn't tell me we have any equipment. How is it even fulfilled already? Do we have in fact, or do we in fact have access to that, but somehow don't? Let's have a look at that briefly. So we can't train mountain divisions, so that's fine. Let's try to train a normal division then, which should be this one. That's odd. Okay, apparently we do have the equipment for that, even though I don't exactly know why. Okay, so yeah, let's train that. I think I'd also like to train one mechanized corps. Yeah, very nice. Okay, and the location where we'll be training these guys is going to be Stalingrad, just because it's nice and central. And here likewise. So there's that. And I think this is a very nice place to put in the cut. So, thank you guys for watching. Oh, look at that, we apparently do have planes in reserves. It's just not showing us that we do. It might be that this is a bug that requires a little bit of an update. I don't know, we'll have to see. Anyway, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you again next time. Bye bye.